Hello everyone, welcome to BioLogic Science News. Today, I bring you news of a fascinating discovery. A team from the University College London, led by PhD student Matthew Dodd, was out surveying in the northeastern regions of Quebec when they found what they call microfossils, bound inside layers of quartz, a type of quartz called chert. The find was in a region called the Nouveau-Agatuk supercrustal belt, which is composed of some of the oldest sedimentary rock in the world. Scientists aren't sure on a specific age for the belt yet, but studies have given estimates ranging from 3.78 to 4.39 billion years old. Some of these rocks have banded iron deposits, which could suggest life. As colonies of bacteria or some other kind of microbe accumulate in colonies or mats along the ocean floor or the surface of the rock, they absorb nutrients and other molecules like iron. And over time, the accumulation of iron forms sheets or deposits that get integrated into the layers of the rock. But this isn't specifically the discovery that I want to tell you about. The really interesting news came from Matthew Dodd's team, with their purported microfossils embedded in the Canadian quartz. The researchers described the microfossils as thin tubes or filaments. The filaments had carved out a hollow space in the rock, lined with iron and bits of organic carbon, in the form of organic molecules or residues. The idea here is that the life forms, which would have been a simple mass of reproducing cells, grew in a string or a bamboo superstructure. The cells would have consumed iron, and as they lived and died, the iron they metabolized would have accumulated on the sides of their living cavity, kind of like a secreted layer of wax on a leaf, or a cell wall composed of material secreted from the membrane. The carbon in their little cellular bodies mostly decayed, or was burnt away, but some of it wound up clinging to the irregular surface of the iron tubes. The reason this strange setup is important is because we already have known samples of ancient bacteria that lived, for example, near deep-sea hydrothermal vents. These organisms reproduced asexually, creating tubular structures out of the thousands of individuals as they reproduce and grow. They used iron-bearing chemicals as a food source, and so they accumulated iron residue in their bodies. In time, this iron residue would become a microscopic fossil of the cellular superstructures. This is strong support for the team's discovery, implying that they have found samples of life as old as the Nouveau-Agatuk rocks. Specifically, they claim these fossils to be 3.77 billion years old, which, although that's on the low end of the spectrum, or the younger end of the spectrum for the Nouveau-Agatuk rocks, it's more than 300 million years older than our current estimates of the earliest life, based on current data and stuff. So this is amazing, not just because it's so old, but because this implies life was forming really early in the Earth's history. These fossils suggest life could have formed a mere 250 million years after the formation of the Earth, in a time when the tectonic plates weren't even stable and asteroids still pounded the fresh crust with regularity. This is really kind of crazy, because if life can form in these conditions, then that means that life can possibly form in similar conditions on other planets. This increases the likelihood that life can form on relatively hellish worlds, just like the young Earth. As for Matthew Dodd and his team, they've had success so far in defending their claims about their evidence, but the issue is far from settled. The discovery has been met with criticism from other researchers, each with their own angle of attack on the data. A critic of the findings can be found in Dina Bauer of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. In particular, she believes that the data in the study is ambiguous and unconvincing. On the other hand, a supporter of Dodd's team is Dr. David Wasey of the University of Western Australia, who, although he showed excitement at the tentative finding, was quoted as saying that it may be many years before a consensus is reached. The point here being that the evidence behind these kind of claims about the oldest life on Earth and other stuff like that, it has to be examined in detail and really heavily scrutinized, and so it can take a while before a consensus can be found. If you want to know more about the earliest period of Earth and the life that existed at the time, check out episode 25 on the Precambrian Eon.